more can you ask for a Black man who is attending Morehouse College? Also one of the few Blacks that are accepted into Harvard Law School, highly respected and regarded in the community. And then one day life happens and you feel it all loosening from your grip. When you look again, you are now looking up at the mountain that you once stood on top of. How in the world do you get back on top? Our next guest says you can come back swinging. You can come back, rather. But in his brand new book, he says you have to come back swinging. Again, our guest today, no stranger to the show, motivator, mentor, trainer, minister, and I could go on. Darrell Bennett, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Bishop. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on. Before we get started, how can people contact you, sir?
So they can contact me on www.darrellbennett.com. That's DARRELLBENNETT, or any of the social media platforms. We're on YouTube. We're putting out daily inspirational videos, so check us out on our YouTube channel. Also putting it out on Facebook, LinkedIn. So yeah, you can follow some of any of those, and of course on Amazon to follow any of our products like the Comeback Swinging series.
Now, before we get started, what inspired you, Coach? Before we get into the story,
yes,
I just want to share with our listeners. Today's show is going to be different. Today's show, as I posted, will be close up, and we thank the guests for allowing us to get an inside view of some of their personal lives and some of their personal experiences. And this is included in this book, Comeback. So what inspired you to put your story in a book? You got very intimate, you got very personal, which we'll get into in a minute. Why a book?
I felt a sense of responsibility. I felt like somebody else could benefit from this. Certainly, I didn't want to share many parts of what I wrote. So it didn't come out of like wanting to talk about it, because who wants to talk about the negative things? But I just felt like, when you go through something, if you can't, the old saying, when you learn, teach. If nothing positive came out of it, then what was the point? So I just felt inspired to write the story. I wanted someone else to take heed. And I also wanted to help other people to realize whatever they're going through, that you're not alone in your circumstance, and that there is redemption and hope and transformation after loss.
I think that's so important, Darrell, because so many people really fall down, they're kicked down, but your story is a story of hope. Now, before we get into the meat of your comeback, talk a little bit about your life growing up, because all of this segues. I want our listeners to hear the beginning, the middle, as much time as we have, and then the end. So let's start at the beginning, before you went to Harvard, etc. Talk about what was your life like growing up?
Yeah, and thank you, Bishop, for this platform to speak on this. I feel like I had a wonderful childhood, full of love, full of just love. That's what it comes down to. My mom was, and of course, my mom, Bishop, we sat under your ministry during those, my early years. My mother always encouraging me, always pushing me to do more and better, definitely was a disciplinarian. But, my mom had a vision for me to be more than what was just immediately around me. And that played a big part in my life. I talk about that in the book. I talk about growing up, having that encouragement, having that push, having that ability to have someone that sees more in you than where you are at the time, holding my, being, having a high standard she would hold me to. So I think all of those things were, formidable in shaping me into who I became. I also talk about, some of the things that what people didn't see, some of the things that aren't unique, growing up, and my, I had an interesting relationship with my father. My parents were divorced when I was 5. It's not an odd thing at all. But just kind of what that relationship was like, and some of the things that I may have been exposed to what I was exposed to at an early age. And I share some of that as well in the book, and how there was a dichotomy that was brewing in me at an early age from what I knew I could be and should be, and the standard that my mother held for me, and then the things that I was exposed to and that I saw and that I began to dabble in or experiment in, and how that began to also create something in me as well.
Pastor, servant of Living Word, having a conversation with Darrell Bennett about his book, Come Back Swinging. I don't know, Darrell, if you have it on speaker, we're getting a little feedback just to let you know. Sometimes the speaker doesn't work. Well, talk about that moment when you realize, something is not right. This is not the way I'm supposed to live. Do you remember that moment when that dawned on you?
I do. I mean, I think, I think once I graduated from college and I went into law school, that was when I really began to, I think, try to understand who I was as a young man. And, that came with a lot of questions. And, because I had been instilled at an early age, morals and a sense of right and wrong and Christ, I knew that there was better for my life. I didn't know how to get there. I didn't reach out to people to share where I was struggling. And I didn't know how to say that I was weak and hurting and struggling.
Let me do this because you mentioned some in the book. I want you to take our listeners as much as you can, and you feel liberty to share some of the things that you talk about, your struggles. I want you to talk about some of the things that begin to maybe arise in you that you never knew existed, that were a part of that slippery slope season in your life, if you can.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I get much more into it in the book for the fact that I feel like, I'm able to really kind of share how things kind of started. Everything starts somewhere. And I just talk about how a number of things. One thing that I was struggling with on a surface level was identity. Who am I as a person and who am I as a man? And that manifested in acting out, one, sexually, not having a clear sense of boundaries, and understanding the gravity of what I had been exposed to at an early age and how that was affecting me. So that was one thing. And it's easy again to, and I talk about this in the book a lot, because sometimes we have a tendency to, let me give a quick thing. I remember the one time I had a leak in my house. And when I called the person out to fix the leak, what they showed me was, though it was leaking through that one area, the leak started somewhere completely different that I could not see. That is an analogy for life. Sometimes what happens is we see the way that there is bad behavior manifesting and we focus on that. But for me, what I recognized was me acting out the way that I was acting out was because of a leak that was coming from somewhere totally different. Wow. That's why I wrote the book, because it's easy to go to the 2-second answer. Oh, this is what happened. But wait a minute, let's step back. Let's step back and really try to unearth and understand what was transpiring. So when I found myself at a place where not only I had lost relationships and I had lost positions, but I lost my freedom. And I talk about this in the book. I found myself in prison for a period of time. of course, I could stop at, well, what transpired that led me to this place now in the past couple of months. But to really begin the comeback story started with me, where did all of this start? So for people that are listening and you're trying to find yourself, basically stop digging and start climbing, and you're trying to find yourself out of the hole, you're trying to find yourself out of that negative place. The start of it is to take inventory. How did I get here?
Wow, you listen to Wake Up, and I want to say, I want to first of all say thank you for your bravery, for coming on and being so transparent. That's what we don't have today, transparency. But I want to say thank you, Darrell Bennett. Kudos, your bravery, for being so transparent. And the next thing that I want to salute you in your story, and we're going to continue in a minute, you didn't play the victim. You didn't play the blame game. You said, the first thing we must do, and I want all of our listeners to hear this, I'm a firm believer in this, because things will happen in life. Life happens. That's what I say. Life happens. But Darrell Bennett is saying, and his book is saying, instead of blaming, take responsibility and ask the question, what was my part?
Yes.
In getting us here? What was my part? Let me ask you this, because I do know some of your upbringing, your mom, again, yes, absolutely. Godly woman, you man of God, even in that season, because I don't believe God puts his hand on and off of us based on our circumstances.
Yes.
Even in that season, what was it like to manage another use of the word, the guilt of feeling like maybe I've lost it all forever. Now the reason I'm saying it, a student at Harvard, a black, because I've got to paint the picture for the listeners, a black, which is very few, we've talked about that on the show, law student at Harvard, the voice of a black group, like a student union, a Morehouse grad, respected in the community, and now you find yourself looking like you've lost it all. How did you deal with yourself? Not the situation, right? But how did you deal with the guilt of saying, maybe I've lost it all? Talk about that.
Well, in transparency, Bishop, I'm still dealing with it. And I think that this is key for people to understand. I don't want to come on here and this is a lifelong process. It took a lifelong process of decisions to kind of get in, and it's a lifelong process of decisions to get out. And I want people to understand that, because I think sometimes what happens is we, as people who are motivators and inspirations, inspirers, we make the mistake of giving these answers where we make people feel like there's a moment where the switch is turned off. And we got to stop doing that, because it leads people astray. You're going to come to Jesus, and you're going to still have to deal with some stuff, and you're going to come out of that depression, but you're still going to have some things that you're going to deal with, and God is forgiving you, but some people won't, and that's fine. I think we got to speak truth to reality first. So part of managing it was, first of all, recognizing that there's a hand on my life from before I even came into existence. That's important, Bishop. I'm not talking about a religiosity. I'm not talking even about, I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about a very confident feeling that I may be surprised by what happened, but the one who birthed, created, designed, and destined me already knew this thing. Yes.
Trying times.
Yes.
The world, and especially social media, so unforgiving, so judgmental.
Yes.
People need to hear, listen, your testimony. That's why you're on here.
That's why I'm on here.
This book, Come Back Swinging, a message of hope that what happens? It may have caught you. It may have caught your family by surprise.
Yes.
But it did not catch your creator.
It did not catch. And knowing that, Bishop, helps you to recognize that there is a plan. There's a plan. There's a way that has been made for you already. And we don't lean on that to do wrong. We don't lean on that to dismiss wrong, but we lean on that to understand I don't have to be the God over my life. People are going through COVID now, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to rebuild that business. You're trying to figure out what's the next step. You're trying to figure out how do I make it out of 2020 when I've had so many losses. And the good news is you don't have to mastermind and orchestrate every detail of your life. Surrender is powerful. And that was I had to, so even when people hear about the appeal, because I talk about this in the book, there was an appeal and I was, by the grace of God, snatched out years early. I didn't put that appeal in, even though I had been an attorney. I didn't do the legal side. I knew that I had to focus on the work that I needed to do personally and allow that surrender to allow God to bring people in my life to deal with those parts. A lot of people won't do that though, Bishop. A lot of people will not do that.
I'm just unfortunate about it because we got to get another part of this in about 5 minutes. If you're just joining in, I'm your host, Darneal Johnson, servant leader of the Living Word Ministries Cathedral. Join us tomorrow, www.wpbmedianetworks.com. We're having a conversation with Darrell Bennett, talking about his brand new book, Come Back Swinging, how he had it all, lost it, and that God is restoring him. Let's talk about this, and we're going to have to divide these 5 minutes up in 2.5 minute segments because you're on to something, man.
Thank you.
What does the swing consist of? When you say, somebody listening says, I'm down, I'm with you. I experienced some things. I'm trying to get back. So when you say come back, I got that part. But what does swinging? How do I swing? Talk about that.
That's a good question, Bishop. Let me answer it in 60 seconds. If you've ever been in a fight, I'm talking about a real fight. There comes a point where you covering your face and your nose and your eyes and your stomach and all of that and your collar and you keep getting hit, that you recognize, I got to start throwing some punches. I refuse to just if I'm going to get beat up, beat me up while I'm swinging too. And comeback swinging is a defiance of defeat. That I'm not just going to go down. So things have happened in your life. You made certain decisions. Maybe the tragedy happened to you. I get it. I understand. It's messed up. So now what? Well, comeback swinging is about taking action. To step up, get back on the offense, put yourself back out there. You can win again. But I don't believe in this fatalism of I'll just lay back and hopefully it'll happen. No. Swing back. And when I started swinging with my gift, swinging with my voice, swinging with my connection with God, swinging with persistence, I began to seek out people to I didn't put in emotions, but put in legal motions. I began to do things to work on recovery, begin to uncover things about my past. That was my actions in swinging. In doing that, I began to come out of the thing.
Wow, man, we're going to have to back. This is a never-ending story. Darrell Bennett, Come Back Swinging. You can get it on his website. Please, before we get into the last 2.5 minutes, let people know how they can pick up a copy of that book.
Yes, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it, the Kindle, the audio book. You can also get it, the print book. Go to Amazon.com and put in Come Back Swinging. And the book comes right up. You can also get it on DarrellBennett.com. DarrellBennett. As a matter of fact, if you're getting a lot of copies and you want them signed, get them through the website because I'll sign them and have my team send them out to you. But either way, through us or through Amazon. And this is the perfect book, Bishop. If you need inspiration, if you are going through a lull in your life, you need to read this, because I have shown you steps on how you can put your life back together and begin to rebuild.
And you're doing it. And you're doing it. We don't have time to talk about all that you're doing, but you're doing it. God has restored and restoring you. Listen, something exciting is taking place, and I just want to share with the fam that beginning next fifth Saturday, you're going to be able to hear this voice every fifth Saturday from 10:30 to 11 with a show called Answering Your Criminal Justice Questions with your host, Darrell Bennett. Listen, man, I want to say welcome to I'm just so excited. You have I love the energy. I love the faith. I love your connection with God. Talk about real quickly what your new segment is about and what listeners can expect to hear.
Yeah, thank you, Bishop. And I appreciate you giving me this platform. This is Comeback Swinging in action. This is, okay, so now as a result of the things that I learned, not just in law school, but through the negative parts of my life, through the back end of the penal system, now I have an opportunity to take those experiences. I want somebody to hear me, because you have this too. You can take what man meant for evil and God will turn around for the good. And now we're using this platform to show other people, and this is the thing. I am helping even attorneys, because we learn one thing in law school. You learn the theory of the law. You learn this great, wonderful, abstract of how things should work. But I don't just have that knowledge. I have the knowledge of what happens when the gates cling. What happens when the appeal really gets put in? What happens in the background when someone gets a charge? And so now we're helping other people who are going through, whether you're going through a trial or you've been arrested or even haven't been arrested, but you've been pulled over by police. These are your rights. This is what you can do. This is your recourse. That's what this is about.
I love having you part of the Wake Up family. No, it's God. It's not you. God gets the glory. I taught a lesson not too long ago. Joshua goes out and conquers the land, and he's told to divide the land. Everybody won't conquer, but when God calls you to take something or gives you the favor or the resources to get something, it is bestowed upon us to bless other people. That's one of the things I think we're missing in our community. It's not about us. What we get ain't about us. That's a whole nother show. I got our next guest on the line. What we get ain't about us, brother. It's about the ability for God to flow through us. He did it to us, so it can flow through us.
That's right.
And we can be a blessing. The water, I say this, then I got to let you go. The water ain't for the hose, but the hose sure as heck get wet. That's all I got to say. The water ain't for the hose, but the hose get wet. Darrell Bennett, listen, we're going to have you on next month, again, talking about your show. I got to have you on again to talk more about this journey. I believe people are being helped. I love you, my brother. Tell Mom, as always, I said hello. God's favor and God's best always rest upon you, and we'll be talking soon. Peace, brother.
Love you too, Bishop. Thank you, Bishop. Be blessed.